What's under the bonnet? While you might expect MG's most powerful 77 kWh to be providing the juice for the marque's fastest ever production car, the MG4 XPower makes do with the mid-tier 64 kWh battery pack, but in concert with two electric motors generating 150 kW up front and 170 kW down back. Combined outputs of 320 kW of power and 600 Nm of torque to all four wheels allow it to launch from 0 to 100 km/h in a claimed 3.8 seconds, thereby equaling Audi's celebrated RS3 Sportback and clipping the mega-quick Mercedes-AMG A45S, two of the fastest petrol-powered hot hatches on the planet. While we drove a pre-production model in China, Australian delivered models will get a dedicated launch control function in order to hit the XPower's big acceleration claims. Additionally, there's also a track mode accessed via the shortcut menu, providing a track mode interface, vehicle performance data and data analysis including lap mode and stage mode. Estimated charge time using single-phase power with 6.6 kW is 9.0 hours, while going from 10% to 80% using a 50 kW fast charger takes 60 minutes. Using the maximum capacity 150 kW charger, the MG4 XPower would reach an 80% charge in 26 minutes. Like the entire MG4 range, the XPower also features V2L capability, allowing owners to power things like laptops, fridge and barbecue, using 220 volts and a max output of 3.3 kilowatts. With all the power, the range is reduced to 385 kilometers, WLTP, on the MG4 XPower, whereas the Excite with the same 64 kilowatts battery achieves a maximum range of 450 kilometers, WLTP. How does the MG4 XPower drive? With just one pre-production tester between several journalists, INSAIC's own in-house proving ground in Shanghai serving as the test facility for our first drive of the MG4 XPower, time behind the wheel was limited, so we headed straight for the high-speed circuit to try launch control. Ordinarily on production spec cars the driver will simply have to flatten both the throttle and brake pedal simultaneously, before releasing the brake pedal to initiate the launch control feature, which wasn't possible on our tester, so we just improvised. Suffice to say, it's quick, bloody quick. But without the use of a V-Box or any other speed-measuring equipment afforded us at the high-security site, it otherwise passed the shades test with flying colors. That is, under full throttle, my aviators flew off my head before smashing into the rear screen and with a good deal of force. Still, further and more thorough performance testing will need to be conducted by Paul Maric and his technical team at our usual long proving ground in Victoria, where properly measured acceleration tests on MG4 XPower under controlled conditions will deliver accurate data. Nevertheless, armed with dual motors, all-wheel drive and 600 Nm of torque, we got no wheel spin, slippage or hesitation. It's just boom and you're gone, albeit with a little queasiness in your belly. On the longer straightaways we very rapidly hit 169 km/h, with still plenty of travel left under the throttle pedal, so we have little reason to doubt the MG4's top speed claim of 200 km/h at this point. Fitted with upgraded suspension, sharper steering and bigger brakes, we were keen to put XPower through some high-speed bends to see how the upgraded chassis handled the loads. Interestingly, our tester was fitted with Bridgestone Turanza tires, 235/45, with its Enlighten technology. Effectively, it's lightweight eco-tire with reduced rolling resistance but also designed for improved handling. We would have thought Bridgestone's performance-skewed Potenza range of tires might have been more of a match for MG4 XPower. While we were somewhat restrained in our high-speed testing, it was sufficient enough to sound out the steering feel and chassis balance. Both aspects were solid without being exceptional. Feedback is reasonable, and steering weight and linearity is comfortably sporty if not quick, but it's not as sharp as we might have expected of a small hatch capable of unleashing this kind of firepower. Suspension compliant bumps is another area the conditions didn't allow for testing, though the MG4 XPower showed tight body control though the faster bends at the proving ground, though more through testing and local conditions will likely reveal more conclusive impressions. In all fairness though, the test conditions were absolutely not conducive to getting the best out of the car, remembering this was a pre-production example we drove, albeit unfinished if you like. Stay tuned then for a more substantial drive on local roads when the XPower finally lands. Mind, at 1,800 kilograms the MG4 XPower isn't exactly a lightweight either, and despite its claim of 50-50 weight distribution, you can certainly feel the head-on turn while leaning on it at the apex. Again, we might have expected a little more front-end accuracy on turn-in. We'd like to try it on a set of potences all the same, at least as a comparison to see if it might enhance the steering feedback on corner entry and mid-corner composure under high load. Don't get me wrong, we pushed hard in the bends and the car behaved well and was suitably settled, but it also didn't give you that fun to drive feeling either, which we all crave in a hot hatch with this much poke. Suspension compliance over bumps is another area the conditions didn't allow for testing, though the MG4 XPower showed tight body control though the faster bends at the proving ground, though more through testing and local conditions will likely reveal more conclusive impressions. In all fairness though, the test conditions were absolutely not conducive to getting the best out of the car, remembering this was a pre-production example we drove, albeit unfinished if you like. Stay tuned then for a more substantial drive on local roads when the XPower finally lands.